is the Page Publishing Book Club. How's it going? How you doing? How you doing, Rob Barrett's my engineer. And my Page Publishing Book Club faithful, have we got a lineup for you? Oh, by the time this show is over, you will be organized. You will be energized. You will be mobilized to get going on that first book. You've been meaning to write it for how long now? How long? How long, Rob? How long have you been meaning to write a book? I actually have a book I want to write. I got the idea on Long Beach Island. That's where I have a house. And I rent it. I rent part of it. And it's a renter's guide to renting homes in LBI. And you know how when you rent a house and you get a list of things that you know, do's and don'ts in the beach house and, you know, how you're expected to leave the beach house? I want to get the list that the renters see and then what the owners are really thinking when they write the list. How about that, huh? So like respect the outside shower means don't pee in it, stuff like that. I think that would be a great book. I don't know. We'll see if I ever get around to it because I am no better than anyone else who's been meaning to write a book and never getting around to it. So that's why I'm the host of this show, because I know. Anyway, are you a mess? And by that, I mean, are you disorganized? Are you so disorganized? You make a mess and you don't even know how it got there. It's like, I just straightened that up. How come it's a mess already? Like that? Well, if we cannot save ourselves from our disorganized lives, our next author, I should say authors, are determined to save our children. Meet Diane Quintana and your co-author. You can introduce her, Diane.
My co-author is Jonda Beatty.
It's called Susie's Messy Room.
Yes, it is. We wrote the book together because we're both professional organizers, and we're using it with families to help them get better organized.
You're using it with families to help them get better organized. Could you come to my house right now?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
I believe I am missing something in my brain that enables me to be organized and stay organized. I can get organized, but I can never put anything away in the same place twice. I don't know why.
Okay.
I straighten up my towels, and they're a mess in a week. I get bins to put things in, and why? There must be a lot of people like me out there if you're making money off of us. Am I right?
There are a lot of people. Right. There are a lot of people out there.
What's wrong with us, Diane?
I think that life is very, very busy, and that probably you're very creative.
Yes.
And probably your mind works in a lot of different directions pretty much at the same time.
Yes.
So probably when you go to put the towels away, for instance, you're not focusing on really putting the towels away. You're probably thinking about something else.
Yes. Are you a psychologist as well?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just guessing because I don't know you, but that's pretty true for other people.
Now, you break down the basic principles of organizing as break projects down into small steps, sort like with like, cull collections, all belongings need a home, reward for completed tasks. How about being able to throw things out? I can't throw anything out.
That's culling your collection.
Oh, that's
right.
Culling. Okay.
Right. When you cull a collection, you take stock of what's in the collection and you remove what you no longer want or need or love.
Now, there's been a lot of very, educated, well-to-do people who have written books about organizing. How do you, how do you cut through that clutter of all those books out there about organizing? What makes yours different?
This is one of the only storybook written specifically for children on organizing. All the others are written for adults. So really it's about a little 5-year-old girl who's had a wonderful time playing with all of her terrific toys, and she made a mess. And her mother says, just pick up your room. She doesn't know where to begin, doesn't know how to go about the process, so she dissolves into tears. That's overwhelming when you don't know what to do and you've got a big project on your hands. So that's where her mother breaks the project down for her. And very simply, through the illustrations, we show how Susie goes about picking up her room. Let me give the phone over to Jonda so she can talk to you about the other books that are like ours.
Hey, Jonda.
Hi, the Bernstein Bears Messy Room.
And that is probably the closest one that's anything like our book. One of the unique things about our book, though, is that we have a page for parents at the end of the book, telling the parents how to use the book. And by going back through the book and talking about it, they can follow the process. And we have had some parents tell us that the children thought that the book had been written specifically for them.
Now, are you guys teachers?
We were both teachers.
All right.
And so therefore we know how to write a children's book, how to use adult words that the child can pick up. But now we're both professional organizers.
So you go out and you organize for adults. That's what you do.
We organize for adults, and then we also work in children's rooms, and we also help with time management, yes.
That's great. So you have an audience to market this book to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you doing book signings or anything like that?
We have done a couple, and we are looking to do some more. We're especially looking forward to the Decatur Book Festival, which is a huge book festival. It's one of the largest in the country. It's in Labor Day weekend.
All right. Mark your calendars. Labor Day weekend, the Decatur Book Festival, Decatur, Georgia. That might be a good place if you live anywhere near the Decatur, Georgia area and you're a Page Publishing Book Club person who just had their book published, and you might want to check that out. Anyway, if you as a parent are not particularly organized, here is something that'll help you get your kids on the right track, and then you can call these guys, and they'll come in and organize your life. I think I might do that. I think I might take my own advice. How about that, Rob? Thank you so much, ladies. All right, so check out the title of our next book, Vagabond Chick. That's a great hook right there, don't you think? Vagabond Chick. And in the blurb that describes Gloria Hillsgrove's book, it says, middle-aged, single white female takes a drive, 3 months, 10,000 miles alone in the middle of nowhere. So how was your trip, they asked. Well, Gloria, how was your trip?
It was, people, in my age group have often said, how did you do that? How did you dare to? I guess is what they meant. But I was never, especially the further west I went, the less apprehensive I was, and I stayed in all, I guess the word is cheap, inexpensive hotels.
You just turned 50 and decided that you were going to go and you were going to spend as little money as possible.
Yes, exactly. Well, it wasn't an overnight decision. My husband and I had owned a convenience store, and all the while he was diagnosed with lymphoma, so there were 6 years of that with him being in remission or not. And then after he passed away, I was kind of at loose ends, so I started thinking about doing this journey, which my father, I guess I got it from him. In fact, I mentioned in the writing that it must be in the genes, because he driven the whole country, up the Alaskan Highway, everywhere. And I love doing that, reading maps, figuring out where to go. And this journey took a couple of years to plan, including financing and so forth, and where I would stay or not. But it was thrilling, the whole trip.
You must have met some really interesting people.
I did. The whole telling kind of hinges on my Pearl Harbor birth date. And my father collected insulators. He had like over 400 of them when he passed away. But I wanted to find one in Hathaway, Montana. I noticed a town called Hathaway out in Montana as I was planning the trip. So I thought, when I get there, I want to find an insulator to put on his grave when I come back. Hathaway was practically a ghost town, and of course there was the Hathaway bar, so I went in there and met this elderly gentleman who, after our long conversations about Hathaway, he went outside and rummaged through some trash and came in and presented me with 3 insulators. Oh. It was magical to me. I don't know. There's a lot of moments like that. And then down in Sheridan, Wyoming, I started chatting up the groundskeeper there, who I thought was Native American. It turns out he was from Hawaii, and he was at Pearl Harbor the day it was bombed. So we became automatic family.
How did you ever stay home again?
Well, I had to come back and start working again.
Oh, okay.
My daughter passed away 3 years ago, so that was a bit of a jolt. And after I got past that, or at least got a grip again, I finished the writing about this trip west. So that's how it finally came about through
Wow.
Page Publishing. Yeah.
So sorry to hear about your daughter. Jeez.
I know. It was a tough time because it was not expected, but you do have to move forward, which I did, and she was behind me on this journey the whole time, so I felt like I was finishing it for her.
I like the last thing you write here. It says, courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
Yes, yeah.
I love that.
That was an Oprah quote, but it grabbed me because I guess that's what you do. But the one thing on my itinerary, which is in the book, was to walk the Brooklyn Bridge at dawn. And as the trip progressed, I kept dreading. And, that was becoming I called it a bully at the end of the hall. I just was really getting fearful of that. I don't know what I was thinking.
Did you do it?
No, because unexpectedly there was a death in my family, so the trip was cut short by 3 weeks.
Gloria Hillsgrove,
Yes.
you come to New York City, and I will walk across the Brooklyn Bridge with you.
Oh, my
dawn.
God.
You come. I mean it. You come. I live right in Hoboken, New Jersey. I am right across the river. I'm in New York City every day. I've walked across the bridge. It will inspire you beyond your wildest imagination. Come.
I shall remember that because that was part of the journey that didn't happen.
Well, let's do it. Let's
Thank
do
you
it.
very much.
You think about it, Gloria.
I will, and I appreciate you offering that. That's wonderful.
You know what? I'll bring my tape recorder. We'll do a little interview. Then I'll bring it back to the Page Publishing Book Club. What do you think about that, huh? What do you think about that, Rob? I see a nod. Rob, why don't you come too? Let me tell you something you don't know about Rob Barrett. He runs to work to and from every day. I don't know how many miles it is. What, like 20? All right, maybe 10. Whatever. You can jog across the bridge with us, Rob. I'm going to wait and see if she actually gets back to me. I think that would be fun. Our next author took a page from a very disturbing time in history. Scott Craig wrote Second Chances about a woman who went through the Holocaust and then managed to rebuild her life like so many others. Tell us about your main character, Inga Klein.
Really, the biggest part is her life after the war and how does she pick up the pieces. I am a history teacher, and so I have studied the Holocaust for the last 30 years. I've talked to numerous Holocaust survivors and have just really been fascinated. And I think the thing that fascinates me is how they've been able to put their life together after such a horrific experience.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. How do you keep going? You've got this number on your arm. Your entire family was wiped out. You end up in the United States and you end up having a decent life. How is that even possible?
Yeah, and that's, and I think it's one of the keys after I've talked to a lot of them is that they've been able to move forward. And that's one of the big conflicts in this story is actually the protagonist, Inga Klein, becomes an attorney in Southern California and has to defend one of her former guards in a trial.
Oh.
And so it kind of deals with all of those conflicts and can she do it and can she be fair and unbiased? And so really kind of a turmoil.
Now, have you written before?
This is my first published book, and so I'm really kind of excited about it.
You must have really enjoyed researching for it. It sounds like you've been researching for it your whole life.
Yeah, I really have. I just find it such a fascinating topic. And so it's interesting to see how there's the best people in the world at that time and the worst people in the world. And you kind of see this complete contrast of good and evil. And it's just really kind of interesting.
Are you able to get this to people who might be interested in reading it?
I've reached out to all of the Holocaust museums across the United States and have, offered the book to them and have worked with, some of them on getting it in their stores and everything.
Can you get in a position where you can actually talk about the book and maybe do a book signing or something like that?
I would love to, and I've offered to do that with them. I'm still waiting to hear back from most of them.
Where do you teach?
I teach history, high school history here in Los Angeles.
Are your students interested in reading it?
Actually, I've had quite a few students who have read it and really like it. They've been kind of interested in it, and so it's been kind of fun to see their reactions.
A good experience with Paige?
Yes, I've had a great experience with Paige. They've done an incredible job. They did the artwork for the cover, and I kind of gave them the concept, and they just produced something beyond my wildest dreams. It's an incredible cover. The people working with them has been great experience, just much better than I expected.
Great to hear, Scott. Very, very emotional topic. And you hear that music? That means it's time for us to take a very quick break. Coming up, yet another story about how writing can and is therapeutic. A journey of faith and Lucifer's Sanctuary. Come on back right after this.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you. Printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-204-6099 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-204-6099 for your free author submission kit.
Thanks for coming back to the Page Publishing Book Club. Writing as therapy. It's something we talk about all the time here on this show. How many authors have we had on that talk about how writing their book made them feel better, got them through a tough time? Everybody's got something going on. And that was the inspiration for Louise Howe's book entitled Love, Life, and You. Hey, Louise.
Well, you know what I think the thing is in our life is we realize that really what it comes down to is us. And that's why I wrote the book. It's our life. It's your life. It's love. And it really basically is, it's us. It's you. So I when I think about it, I think, well, if I want to make a change, people want change, but it really starts from you. And so sometimes we sit around wanting change. But what's the first thing that can really make a change is ourselves. And see, I love the cover of the book because basically the cover of the book is, that is the family tree of Earth, of the planet. And whatever race, religion, nationality, we really are all connected. And when we start seeing that, it's like we do this transformation. And if you look at the picture, it's like a halo around Earth. And the halo is all the people that are out there that are spreading goodness, compassion, and love. And it's emanating this beautiful halo around the Earth. And that's something that we could all do in our everyday life.
You're a singer, you're a songwriter.
Actually, I've done that for many years. I used to sing at different clubs. And right now I do singing for happy hour for the seniors at assisted living. And I love it. It's volunteering.
That's great. So were you professional?
Basically, it was I would go out there and I would just do the clubs and car shows and different events like that. And of course I did. I wrote a lot of songs. Unfortunately, they didn't go anywhere, but I had a lot of fun writing them. And I actually years ago had a record that I put out myself, and it was I'll Bring Back Your Love and Rock and Roll Soul. And you know what? It really is interesting. Sometimes we realize that we're not perfect. We're not perfect, but we are a work in progress. And every day we have to work on it. And sometimes it is a struggle. But it's when we keep making the same mistake over and over again, we're not learning. And that's when it starts being a problem.
Did you have a transitional experience that led you to this book?
Well, I think that as a child, I had, that out-of-body experience type thing where I had issues and I was in emergency. I lost a lot of blood. But I think it's that moment of, it's like realizing that we can make a difference and getting connected. I think getting connected really with Mother Nature and the whole thing that surrounds us, that we have to be, take all that in and be more forgiving in our life.
For sure. Are you able to get this to people?
When I go out and I talk about it, people love it because I feel this way. If you read the book and walk away with one idea that would help your life, I feel that the book is a success. I mean, just one little idea, and I think that it will make the difference.
All right, Louise. Good luck with your book and your journey. Robin Holstein's been on a journey of faith, and she's completed part 2 of her Faith Journey series entitled Not Unto Death. It's her second published book with Page Publishing, but it's her first interview here on the Page Publishing Book Club. Welcome, Robin. Now, this is a 4-part series, right?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. Number 1 is called Not by Might. The second one is Not Unto Death. The third one I'm currently working on is called Not Against Flesh and Blood. And yes, ma'am, Page Publishing is the publisher, and I plan to stick with them until I complete the series.
Okay, so this in this part, Robin is struggling with brain surgery?
Yes, at the age of 21, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And so, yes, I did have to have surgery. And
this happened right before your wedding?
Yes, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor between March and April of 1996. And in April of 1996, I had the surgery, and in May, got married. The tumor was diagnosed as benign, and Lord's been very faithful to me since.
So this is your journey. This is your life story.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Are you sharing this in hopes of giving hope and strength to others?
That's exactly right. That, and just to encourage others who may have gone through something similar to what I've gone through, and just to share that there is an upside, there is hope, that the Lord, He can take our ashes and turn them into something beautiful if we give it to Him. So
after you went through all of this, where are you now?
Well, now it's been, 20 years, and I am happily remarried. My current spouse, actually, he's in the second book, Not Unto Death. He was in an accident in his 20s where he got caught in a combine machine in Pennsylvania. He was a farmer, grew up on a farm, and he was combining wheat, and actually got caught in the machine. So I actually separated his leg from his body, and it messed him up pretty good. And he's not supposed to be here, and he's certainly not supposed to be walking around on 2 legs right now. But once again, God showed up in a very awesome way, and He's here and He's walking, and we're both just a living testimony to God's faithfulness and His mercy.
And His grace.
His grace, absolutely, absolutely.
How did you find Paige?
My husband was watching TV one night. I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth, and an advertisement came on. I had finished up my first book, and I was kind of at the point where I was like, okay, I have no idea what I'm going to do with this. I'm probably going to submit it 10 different times and get 10 different rejections and go through a long, lengthy process of that before it ever gets accepted, and I didn't even know where to start. I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth. He was like, hey, Robin, you got to write this number down. Here's a publishing company. I was like, oh, yeah, whatever, okay. He was like, I'll get it. So he writes it down. And over the next week, he would randomly just kind of bring it up. He was like, hey, did you call Page Publishing about your book? I was like, no, I'll do it when I get a chance. And he kept on, and finally I was like, okay, I'm going to do this just so he'll leave me alone about it. So I called Page Publishing, and they were like, yeah, go ahead and submit it, and, we'll take a look at it. And so I went ahead and sent it to them. And within about, I guess it was probably about two to 4 weeks maybe, they called me back and let me know that they had accepted it for publication, and I was just blown away. I was totally blown away. I wasn't expecting it to go quite that fast.
That's great. So now here you are.
Here I am.
Are you in a church? Are you able to pass your book out and get people to read it within your religious community?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I've had quite a number of people in my church that I attend approach me about it and just tell me how much they enjoyed reading it and how much they are looking forward to the next one coming out. So that's been a big encouragement to me.
All right, Robin, thanks for sharing. Finally, Thomas Peters has been writing short stories and poems forever, but there was that one story that kept ruminating in his head, and it was something he couldn't escape. He couldn't get away from it. And over the course of several years, the story finally came to fruition. It's called Lucifer's Sanctuary. It's a story of love, hope, and tragedy mixed with pure evil. Tell us more, Thomas.
Well, throughout my upbringing, I always thought of stories about the devil, and I've seen, of course, movies, and like The Exorcist, and I thought, well, why not write another story and put a little of this in? But it's a love story as well as a science fiction or fiction. Tom and Amy were a couple who met at a dance in high school. They both went to Catholic schools, and they met that particular night, and it was love at first sight, at least with Tom. Amy was attracted too, but not quite to the point that Tom was. They fell in love, and this was their senior year. Now, Tom's best friend was Mike Cisneros, and they went to St. Pius in Houston, and they all had scholarships. The two guys had to Texas A&M, and Amy had a scholarship to Lamar University in Beaumont. And they wanted to get married, of course, as all young people do when they fall in love, but they couldn't quite come to terms on giving up a scholarship so they wouldn't be separated. They talked to Father Renfro, who was a friend of both of the boys, and he came up with a plan that indeed the romance was good, but they should wait until after they graduated from college. And this was a real hardship for the two because young people just don't like to wait on love. And so they made it for 2 years, and finally Tom and Amy just couldn't take it anymore, and they decided to do their own marriage ceremony and then in 2 years get married in the church. But there was one rub. Amy became pregnant.
Somehow the three of these guys are related, and they enter into some kind of deal with the devil?
Tom and Amy lose a child, and they lose their faith.
Okay.
They just had it with God.
Right.
And they turn and make a deal with one of his helpers. And they decided to take his deal, which includes being able just to do away with the life that they lead now and move to a secret compound where Lucifer lives on earth in return for their soul. And they take it, and it's everything he said it was, except they come to regret the deal when a good friend of hers in the compound has her baby taken from her. She didn't know that was going to happen to any children born in the compound, and she herself becomes pregnant. And I'm going to stop there. It's just a good story. It shows good overcoming evil. I like happy endings. It shows the redemption of one of my characters. I have three characters in it who are despicable people. They were a lot of fun to write about.
Great.
And in the end, one of them changes and comes away clean. And now it's published, and I'm happy camper.
Well, that's the best part, right? Getting published. All right, Thomas, thank you so much. And boy, did this show go fast tonight, huh, Rob? Thank you so much for tuning in. We are running out of time. We'll be back next week for another edition of the Page Publishing Book Club. Same time, same place, 710 WOR. Enjoy your weekend.